"Ethan, you're late again," Emily said, smiling as she set 2 plates on the small kitchen table. Her blonde hair fell over her shoulder, and her voice carried that playful mix of annoyance and affection. "Late?" I dropped my bag by the chair. "I'm 5 minutes behind schedule, not exactly a crime. She folded her arms. 5 minutes becomes 10. 10 becomes 30. You'll end up missing dinner with me entirely one day." I laughed, pulling her close for a kiss. "Not a chance. You're the reason I hurry home." Emily softened immediately, leaning into me. "Flattery works, Ethan. Don't forget it." Ryan's voice came from the couch in the living room. "You two done yet? Some of us are starving." "Then stop eating all the snacks before dinner," I shot back, grabbing. "A plate for him," Ryan grinned. "That's called an appetizer, man. You should try it." Emily rolled her eyes. "Both of you are hopeless. At least pretend you've got manners." "Pretend?" I smirked. "I've been pretending since the day we met." Ryan clapped his hands together. "See? That's the kind of honesty this friendship needs." Emily groaned. "I don't know how I ended up with 2 children instead of 1 boyfriend." "You love it," I teased. Her laugh told me she did. We sat around the table, the 3 of us like some kind of strange family. Ryan wasn't just my best friend. He was my brother in all but blood. And Emily, she was the girl I had once thought I'd never deserve. Grace's voice echoed in my memory. "Don't trust people too easily, Ethan. Even the ones closest to you can surprise you." Back then, I brushed it off. "So," Ryan said between bites, "promotion news? Did your boss finally recognize you're the star of the company?" Chuckled. "Not yet, but he hinted something's coming. Big project next month. If I nail it, I'm next in line." Emily's eyes lit up. "You'll nail it. You always do." Ryan leaned back in his chair. "Yeah, if they gave promotions for being annoyingly optimistic, you'd be CEO already." "Better than being promoted for sarcasm. You'd be unemployed," I shot back. Emily laughed so hard she nearly dropped her fork. "You two should record your banter. People would pay to listen." "Or get annoyed," Ryan muttered. I smiled, watching them. This was my world, simple, comfortable, safe. At least, that's what I believed. Later that evening, we sat on the balcony. The city lights flickered below us. Emily rested her head on my shoulder. "Ethan, do you ever think about us? The future?" she asked softly. "All the time," I answered without hesitation. "House, kids, maybe even a dog, the whole thing." Her smile widened. "You'd actually want kids?" "Yeah," I said. "Not tomorrow, but someday. With you." Ryan groaned from the chair beside us. "Can you two keep it PG? I'm trying to enjoy the skyline without gagging." Emily threw a pillow at him. "Don't pretend you're not secretly jealous." "Jealous?" he laughed. "Of what? Sitting through mushy conversations?" "Pass." I shook my head. "Ignore him. He'll be the best man at our wedding one day." "Damn right I will," Ryan said proudly. "And I'm planning the bachelor party. Don't argue." Emily sighed. "That's what worries me." The 3 of us burst into laughter, the kind of laughter that makes your chest feel light. In that moment, I thought nothing could ever break us apart. A few nights later, Grace dropped by. She walked into the apartment, her eyes scanning the place, like she expected to catch me hiding something. "Still hanging out with Ryan every day?" she asked. "Yeah, why wouldn't I replied. She crossed her arms. "Because sometimes the people you think you know best aren't what they seem." I frowned. "You've said that before." "Ryan's solid. Emily too." "Maybe," she said quietly. "But don't be blind, Ethan. Trust is earned, not gifted." Emily entered from the kitchen holding drinks. "Grace, you sound like you're giving a TED Talk." Grace smirked. "Maybe you should listen." Ryan strolled in. "What's with the lecture? Did I miss family therapy night?" Grace's eyes narrowed. "Just be careful." I laughed it off, trying to lighten the mood. "She thinks I'm too trusting." Ryan clapped me on the back. Well, she's not wrong. But hey, that's why we love you. Emily nodded. Exactly. Your faith in people is what makes you special. I believed them, every word. That night, lying in bed, Emily curled up against me. You know what I love about you, Ethan? She whispered. What's that? You trust so easily. You don't see the bad in people. I smiled, closing my eyes. Because the people I chose don't have bad in them. Her silence lingered for a second longer than usual, but I didn't notice. I thought I had everything. I thought my world was safe. I had no idea how wrong I was. I pushed the door open, calling softly, Emily, you here? Her laugh answered, me, but it wasn't for me, it was for him. I froze. Ryan's voice whispered, don't worry, he won't come this early. My chest tightened. I stepped into the living room, and there they were, Ryan's hands on her waist, her lips dangerously close to his. Tell me I'm hallucinating, I said, my voice shaking. Emily jerked back, panic flashing across her face. Ethan, this isn't… Don't, I snapped. Don't you dare. Ryan lifted his hands like I was a cop with a gun. Ethan, listen, man. Listen? I laughed bitterly. To what? My best friend sleeping with my girlfriend? Emily's. Eyes brimmed with tears. It just happened. We didn't mean… You didn't mean… My words were knives. You had choices every second, every touch, every lie. You chose this. Ryan stepped forward. We didn't want to hurt you. Congratulations. I cut him off. You just did the one thing that kills me completely. Emily reached for me. Please, Ethan, I love you. Love? I barked out a laugh so hollow it scared even me. You love me? Then what the hell is this? Her hands shook. It was a mistake, I swear. No. A mistake is forgetting my birthday. A mistake is burning dinner. This… I pointed at both of them, fury boiling. This is betrayal. Ryan muttered, we never wanted you to find out like this. My blood boiled hotter. So you plan to keep lying forever? How noble. Emily sobbed. Please don't walk away, we can fix this. Fix this? My voice broke. You ripped my heart out, Emily, and you… I turned to Ryan, my throat tightening. You were my brother, my only real friend. You knew every scar I carried, and you still twisted the knife. Ryan dropped his gaze. I'm sorry. Sorry, I whispered. You think that word patches me back together? The room spun. My knees buckled, but anger kept me standing. Emily whispered, Ethan, please don't leave me. I forced myself to look her in the eye. You left me the second you touched him. I stormed out before my tears betrayed me. I didn't remember the walk to Grace's apartment, only the pounding in my skull. When she opened the door, one look at me was enough. Ethan, she asked softly, what happened? I collapsed onto her couch, words spilling like broken glass. Emily, Ryan, together. Her face hardened instantly. Those snakes, I buried my face in my hands. Was I blind? How could I not see? Grace sat beside me, steady. Because you trusted them, because you believed in love and friendship. That isn't blindness, Ethan. That's purity. I choked out a laugh. Purity? Or stupidity? Don't say that. Her voice cut sharp. Their betrayal doesn't make you foolish. It makes them cruel. My throat burned. I loved her, Grace. I trusted him like family. And in one moment, gone. She put a hand on my shoulder. Cry if you have to. Break if you have to. But don't blame yourself. Tears finally came, hot and merciless. What's wrong with me? Why wasn't I enough? Grace shook her head. No, don't you dare twist this into your fault. Their betrayal has nothing to do with your worth. They're the broken ones. I whispered. I can't breathe. It feels like my chest is collapsing. You will breathe again, she said firmly. Tonight it hurts. Tomorrow it'll still hurt. But day by day, you'll rise. I looked at her through blurred vision. "You're all I have left." "You have me," Grace said, eyes unwavering. "And I won't betray you. Not now. Not ever." The words dug into me, not like knives, but like anchors keeping me from drifting away. I whispered, "Thank you." She squeezed my hand. "Let it out, Ethan. Let every piece of this pain out tonight. Because tomorrow, we start rebuilding you." And for the first time since the moment I walked into Emily's apartment, I let myself collapse completely, knowing Grace's arms were strong enough to hold the ruins. I stared at the half-empty bottle in my hand, the bitter burn of whiskey still stinging my throat. My apartment was a mess. Clothes scattered, dishes unwashed, curtains shut tight against the sun. Grace banged on the door. "Ethan, open up!" Groaned. "Go away." Her voice sharpened. "Not happening. Open this damn door before I kick it down." I dragged myself up, stumbling as the alcohol spun my head. I unlocked the door, and she stormed inside. Her eyes swept over the chaos. "God, Ethan, look at you!" I dropped back on the couch. "What do you expect? They ruined me." She crossed her arms. "So you decided to ruin yourself too?" I shot her a glare. "Don't start lecturing me." "I'm not lecturing," she snapped. "I'm trying to stop you from drowning in this pity party." "Pity party?" My voice cracked, raw. I walked in and saw the two people I trusted most. Grace cut me off. "I know what you saw. You don't have to repeat it every time we talk. You keep stabbing yourself with the same memory." I slammed the bottle on the table. "How am I supposed to forget? Tell me that." She softened, sitting beside me. "I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to live. There's a difference." I laughed bitterly. "Live? I can't even sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I hear her voice, see his hands on her." Her jaw tightened. "Then stop giving them space in your head. They don't deserve it." "They took everything," I muttered. Grace grabbed my shoulders. "No, they didn't. You're still here. You still have a future, whether you see it or not." I pulled away. "A future? I can't even face work." I sit there staring at numbers that blur together. My boss notices. Everyone notices. They know something's broken inside me. "Then fix it," she urged. "I don't know how." Silence hung between us until I reached for the bottle again. Grace snatched it before I could. "Enough," she barked. "You think this helps? It doesn't. It makes the pain louder." I slumped forward, burying my face in my hands. "I just want the noise to stop, the anger, the pictures in my head. It's killing me, Grace." Her tone softened again. "I know. But drinking yourself into oblivion won't heal you. It'll bury you." I looked at her through blurry eyes. "Why do you even care?" She blinked, hurt flashing in her gaze. "Because you're my family, Ethan. Because I refuse to watch you destroy yourself while they move on like nothing happened." I swallowed hard, words catching in my throat. Do you think I'm worthless now?" Her eyes widened. "What? Never. Don't you dare say that." "But she chose him," I whispered. "Doesn't that mean something's wrong with me?" Grace grabbed my hand firmly. "No, it means something's wrong with them. Don't confuse their betrayal with your value." My chest tightened, tears I'd been holding back spilling out. I loved her. I trusted him. And now I feel hollow, like everything was a lie. She let me cry, not pulling away. When my sobs finally quieted, she spoke gently. "Ethan, you're allowed to grieve, but you're not allowed to quit on yourself. Not for them." I wiped my eyes, exhausted. "I don't know if I can climb out of this." "Then I'll climb with you," she said simply. "Step by step. But you have to want it." Her words settled into me, heavy but grounding. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I whispered, "I don't want to feel like this forever." "Good," Grace said firmly. "That's the first step." I leaned back against the couch, staring at the ceiling. The ache in my chest didn't vanish, but her voice cut through the darkness, giving me something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. faint but real. I sat at my desk staring at the same spreadsheet for what felt like hours. My eyes blurred, my fingers hovered over the keyboard, but nothing happened. My head was heavy, like it carried 1,000 unspoken screams. "Ethan!" A voice cut through the silence. I turned. Olivia Carter leaned against the edge of my desk, her arms crossed, eyebrows raised. "You look like hell," she said flatly. I forced a weak laugh. "Thanks. Exactly what I needed to hear today." "I'm serious," she continued, not moving. "You've been off for weeks. Late, distracted, zoning out during meetings. What's going on?" "It's nothing," I muttered, glancing at the screen again. "Just tired." "That's not just tired," she said. "That's falling apart." Her bluntness startled me. Most people avoided me, probably sensing the storm I carried around, but Olivia didn't look away. I sighed. "Why do you care? You barely know me." She tilted her head. "Maybe because I know what drowning looks like." The words pierced me. I swallowed hard, pretending to type something. "I'm fine. Really." "No, you're not." She leaned closer. "You look like a guy pretending he's fine while screaming inside." I froze. It was as if she'd read my mind. "You don't know what you're talking about," I said stiffly. Her eyes softened. "Then tell me I'm wrong." I looked down at my hands. They trembled slightly, the same way they had every night since. That betrayal. "I can't," I whispered. Olivia pulled out the chair beside me and sat. "So talk." "Not details, not everything. Just talk. Why are you punishing yourself?" The lump in my throat grew. "Because I trusted the wrong people. Because I thought I had everything, and it all collapsed overnight." "People break. People lie," she said simply. "That doesn't mean you stop living." "You don't get it," I muttered. She smirked. "Try me." I hesitated, but the silence between us felt heavier than the words themselves. I walked in and saw them. My girlfriend, my best friend, together. Her eyes widened slightly, but she didn't gasp or pity me. Instead, she nodded. "Brutal." "That's it?" I snapped. "Brutal?" "Do you want me to cry for you?" she asked calmly. "Because I won't. You don't need pity. You need to stop letting them win by destroying yourself." I stared at her, caught between anger and relief. No one had said it so directly. "Easier said than done," I muttered. "Of course," she replied. "But you're smart, Ethan. Smarter than you're acting. You're letting two people define your entire existence right now. And honestly, they're not worth it." Her words dug deep. "You think I don't know that?" "I think you do know," she countered. "But knowing and acting aren't the same thing." I rubbed my face. "I've been drinking more than I should. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see them. I hate myself for not seeing it sooner." Olivia tapped her fingers on the desk. "That's the thing about betrayal. It blindsides you. You can't blame yourself for trusting. Trust isn't weakness." "It feels like weakness," I said bitterly. "No," she said firmly. "It means you were human. They're the ones who failed you." Her conviction shook me. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked quietly. She shrugged. "Because someone once told me the same thing when I was drowning, and because I can't stand watching potential rot away." I laughed dryly. "Potential? That's generous." She leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Don't sell yourself short. You're here working, even when you feel broken. That's not nothing." For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of warmth inside me. "Maybe you're right," I admitted. "I am right," she said with a small smile. "But you don't have to believe me yet. Just stop pretending you're fine. Start being honest with yourself. That's the first step." I let out a shaky breath. "You make it sound so simple." "It's not simple," she said. "But it's possible." Her phone buzzed, and she stood. "Meeting in 5. You coming?" I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I'll be there. She gave me one last look. Good. Don't disappear, Ethan, not on my watch. As she walked away, I stared at the screen again. The numbers blurred, but this time I felt something different. A tiny crack in the darkness. A glimpse of light. I sat on the bench in the gym, sweat dripping down my face. My chest burned, but for the first time in weeks, it wasn't from alcohol or grief. It was from effort. From pushing myself. Not bad, Olivia said, tossing me a towel. Didn't think you'd actually show up today, I smirked weakly. I almost didn't. My bed was calling me. Your bed's been calling you for months, she shot back. It's about time you answered something else. I laughed, short and strained, but it was real. You're brutal. Honesty feels brutal when you're used to lies, she said simply, folding her arms. Her words stung, but they pushed me. I wiped my face, stood, and grabbed the dumbbells again. Later that night, Grace barged into my apartment with her usual no-nonsense energy. You look alive, she said, narrowing her eyes. What's going on? Did you get promoted or something? Better, I replied, sipping water. I went to the gym, Grace gasped theatrically. And the world didn't collapse? Miracles do exist. Funny, I said, rolling my eyes. But yeah, I actually feel lighter, like I'm in control again. That's what I've been screaming at you for weeks, she said, dropping onto the couch. Control, direction, something besides drowning yourself in whiskey. I sat beside her. I don't know if I'm fixed, but I feel a shift. Olivia's been pushing me. Her eyebrows rose. Olivia, huh? You've mentioned her a lot lately. She's just different. She doesn't let me wallow. She sees right through my crap. Grace smiled knowingly. Sounds like you need that. The next morning, Olivia caught me in the break room at work. Protein shake in her hand. You're walking straighter, she said. Less like a ghost, more like a person. Thanks, I think, I said, pouring coffee. I'm trying. Trying isn't enough. You need to commit. What's your plan? My plan? I echoed. I thought showing up was a plan. She shook her head. Showing up is the minimum. What are your goals? What do you actually want? Her words hit me harder than any weight at the gym. I froze, staring into my coffee. I don't know anymore. I used to think I wanted love, stability. Now I just want peace. Peace comes from building, not from waiting, she said, sipping her shake. So build. That night I sat with Grace again, notebook open in front of me. Okay, I muttered. Goals. Let's figure this out. Grace leaned over. Finally, what's first? I want to get stronger, not just physically, mentally. I don't want anyone to break me like that again. Good start. What else? I want to get better at my work. I've been sloppy, distracted. And I hesitated. I want to feel proud of myself again. Grace placed her hand on mine. That's the best goal you've written all night. Weeks passed and I kept showing up. At the gym, Olivia pushed me through sets until my muscles screamed. At home, Grace checked in, making sure I didn't fall back into old habits. Night after a workout, Olivia smirked. You're not the same guy who walked in broken weeks ago. I can see it in your eyes. Don't flatter me, I muttered, wiping sweat. It's not flattery, it's observation. You're standing taller. You're sharper at work. People notice. Her words filled me with warmth I hadn't felt in months. I actually feel it too, like I'm clawing my way back. That's because you are, she said, and clawing is still progress. One weekend, Grace dragged me to the park. I groaned the whole way. Why am I here? I asked. I had plans to rest. Because sunlight exists, Ethan, she said. You've been hiding from it. We sat on a bench, watching families and joggers pass by. I breathed in the fresh air and realized how long it had been since I simply noticed the world. You're smiling, Grace observed. Am I? I touched my face, surprised. Feels weird. It looks good on you, she said softly. Another day, Olivia cornered me in the office. "So," she said, leaning against my desk, "what's next for you?" "Next?" I asked. "Yes, next. You've rebuilt a little. Now what?" I thought. For a moment. "I want to rediscover what I love. Before everything, I used to write music." I stopped after. Her eyes lit up. "Then start again. That's the piece you're missing." "I don't know if I can." "You don't have to know," she said firmly. "Just try." That night, I dug out my old guitar, strings, dusty, wood worn. I strummed a few chords. The sound was rusty, but it stirred something inside me, something I thought I'd lost forever. Grace knocked on my door, peeked in, and gasped. "You're playing again." "Trying," I corrected, fingers fumbling. "It feels good." Her eyes softened. "That's you, Ethan. Not the broken you. The real you." I smiled faintly. Maybe he's coming back. The more I played, the more alive I felt. Music returned to me like an old friend. Between workouts, work, and melodies, I began to feel whole. Olivia noticed too. "There it is," she said one evening as I hummed a tune walking out of the office. "That spark. That's confidence." "It's not confidence," I replied. "It's me remembering who I was." "Exactly," she said. "That's what healing is." Weeks later, I stood in front of my mirror, shoulders squared, eyes steady. I still bore scars inside, but I wasn't defined by them anymore. I smiled, not because I'd forgotten the pain, but because I'd survived it. And I knew this was just the beginning. "Did you hear?" Grace leaned closer over the coffee table, lowering her voice like we were in some conspiracy. "Hear what?" I asked, sipping my drink, pretending not to care. "Ryan," she said flatly. "Apparently he's been cheating. Not just once, multiple times." I paused, letting the words roll around my mind, heavy and strange. "Cheating on Emily?" "On Emily," Grace confirmed, watching me carefully. "With some girl from his gym, maybe more than one." I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "So the king finally slips off his throne," Grace frowned. "You're not surprised?" "Surprised?" I chuckled bitterly. "No, karma just runs late sometimes." She tilted her head. "You don't sound angry." "Because I'm not," I said, feeling the truth in my own words. "I'm detached. For once, it's not my storm. It's theirs." Grace studied me, then smiled faintly. "You're changing. A few months ago, you'd be drowning. In this," I smirked. "Maybe I already drowned. What's left just learned to float." At work, Olivia caught me staring at a spreadsheet longer than I needed to. "You're smiling," she said, standing over my desk. I raised an eyebrow. "That's a crime? For you?" "Almost," she teased. "What's the occasion?" "Rumors," I admitted. "Apparently Ryan's cheating. Emily's not doing well." Olivia folded her arms. "And you're enjoying this?" I shook my head. "Not enjoying. Observing." "Come on," she pressed. "Part of you feels vindicated." "Maybe," I admitted, lowering my voice. "But mostly, I feel free. For once, I don't have to fight for clarity. Life's making its own point." Olivia gave me a look. "That's growth. The old you would have been plotting revenge." "The old me wanted blood," I agreed. "The new me just wants peace." Later that week, Grace texted me. She wants to talk. Emily, she's falling apart. I stared at the message, unsure whether to laugh or feel pity. When I didn't reply, Grace called. "You saw my text?" "I did," I answered cautiously. "She's losing friends, you know," Grace said. "Quickly. People are taking your side without you even asking." "My side?" I repeated. "I didn't run a campaign." "You didn't need to," Grace said. "She destroyed her own credibility. Now Ryan's doing the same to her." I stayed quiet. You're not curious what she'd say? Grace asked gently. No, I said firmly. Her words poisoned me once. I'm not drinking from that well again. Grace sighed. You really have changed. A few days later at lunch, Olivia sat across from me, tapping her fork. You've been quiet, she observed. I'm thinking, I admitted. About Emily? I nodded slightly. She's unraveling. I thought I'd feel triumphant, but instead I feel nothing. Just distance. Olivia tilted her head. Nothing is good. Nothing means you're healing. Then why does it feel so strange? I muttered. Because you're not used to peace, she said plainly. Her words hit me harder than I expected. Grace visited that evening, plopping down on my couch. She called me crying, she said. Emily. Said everyone's whispering about Ryan, and she doesn't know who to trust. And she thought you'd pass the message to me, I guessed. Grace nodded. I think she still wants some piece of you back, even if it's just sympathy. I shook my head. Sympathy is expensive. I can't afford it anymore. Grace smirked. Listen to you, cold and wise. It's not cold, I corrected. It's self-preservation. Grace leaned forward. So you're done? I was done the night I walked in on them. Everything after that is just background noise. She studied me for a long moment, then whispered, I'm proud of you. Work became easier. I hit deadlines. I got compliments from my boss. Olivia clapped my shoulder one evening and said, You're killing it. I laughed. Feels good, doesn't it? You're not the same guy I met months ago, she said. I'm not sure who that guy even was anymore, I replied honestly. One evening, while leaving the office, Olivia walked with me to the parking lot. You ever think about running into them? Ryan, Emily? She asked. Sometimes, I admitted. But if it happens, I think I'd just nod and keep walking. Olivia studied me. That's powerful. Power isn't yelling louder, I said quietly. It's not needing to yell at all. Grace called again a week later. She asked me why you're thriving, Grace said softly. Why you look happier, why you're stronger. I didn't know what to tell her. I exhaled slowly. Tell her the truth, that I rebuilt myself from the ashes she left me in. Grace paused. That'll hurt her. Good, I said firmly. Some lessons are supposed to hurt. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling, my chest surprisingly light. For months, I had drowned in anger, in betrayal, in bitterness. Now, without lifting a finger, the tables had turned. Life had served its own revenge, and I didn't even have to taste the poison. For the first time, I didn't want Emily's apology. I didn't want Ryan's downfall. I didn't want anyone to bleed. All I wanted was to keep moving forward, because finally, I wasn't trapped in their shadow anymore. The knock at my door was hesitant, almost trembling. When I opened it, I froze. Emily stood there. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, clutching her arms as if the night itself was swallowing her whole. Can I come in? She whispered, voice breaking. My chest tightened. Emily, why are you here? Please, she begged, eyes red, lips quivering. I just need to talk. Please. I stepped aside, my hand heavy on the doorknob. She walked in slowly, like someone carrying the weight of 1,000 regrets. I didn't know where else to go, she muttered, sinking into the couch. Ryan, he's gone. I swallowed hard. Gone? What do you mean? He left me, she said, wiping her face with the back of her hand. Just like that. One day he was there, the next he was with someone else. He said I wasn't enough. Leaned against the wall, crossing my arms. That sounds familiar? Her eyes snapped to me, pain flickering across them. I know I deserve that, but please just listen. I took a seat opposite her, heart hammering. I'm listening, she inhaled shakily. I thought he was everything. He promised me the world, and I believed him. I left you because I was blinded by it. And now I see what a fool I was. Emily, I said, my voice steady. You didn't just leave me, you broke me. You crushed everything I thought was real. Tears spilled again, her hands trembling. I regret it every single day. I can't sleep. I can't eat. And when I think about who I lost, it kills me. Then why now? I asked coldly. Why come crawling back when your world falls apart? Her breath hitched. Because you're the only one who ever truly loved me. I know that now. I should never have let you go. I laughed bitterly. You should have thought of that before sharing your bed with Ryan. I made a mistake, she cried out, voice raw. A terrible mistake. And I've paid for it. He humiliated me, abandoned me, and now everyone whispers behind my back. I've lost everything. The silence between us grew heavy. I studied her face, the same face I once kissed, the same eyes I once believed held forever. But now all I saw was desperation. You're not here because you love me, I said quietly. You're here because you're broken, because Ryan left you, because you're alone. She shook her head violently. No, I swear it's more than that. I've thought about you every day. I cut her off. Emily, stop. If Ryan were still around, would you be here right now? Her mouth opened, but no words came. That silence was my answer. I leaned forward, my voice sharp. You only want me because I'm safe. Because you know I once loved you enough to forgive anything. But that man, the one who would have begged for you back, he's gone. Her shoulders sagged, sobs escaping her chest. Please, I don't know how to live with this pain. I looked away, my throat tightening. For a moment, memories flooded. Back, her laugh, her touch, the way she once looked at me. My heart ached, but my resolve stayed firm. You'll survive, I said finally, just like I did. You'll learn to face the emptiness, to rebuild. But don't come to me expecting to be saved. She buried her face in her hands. I never thought you could be this cold. No, I replied softly. You never thought I could be this strong. Her cries filled the room, sharp and broken. For a second, I almost reached out, almost let the old part of me take over. But then I remembered the nights I drowned in whiskey, the mornings I couldn't look at myself, the hollow echo of betrayal in my chest. I stood. Emily, you need to go. Her head shot up, eyes wide. What? You're really turning me away? Yes. My voice didn't waver. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not your refuge. I'm not the man you broke anymore. She stared at me, searching for some crack in my armor. When she found none, her face crumpled. You'll regret this, she whispered weakly. No, I said firmly. I've already regretted enough. She rose slowly, her legs unsteady. At the door, she turned once more, tears streaming down her face. I loved you, she said, almost like a confession. Maybe once, I replied. But love doesn't destroy what it claims to cherish. Her hand lingered on the knob, then she walked out into the night, the door clicking shut behind her. For a long moment, I just stood there, staring at the empty space where she had been. My chest felt heavy, yet lighter than it had in years. I whispered to myself, this isn't weakness anymore. This is freedom. And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. I stared at the ceiling, restless, Emily's tears still echoing in my mind. Her words, I regret everything, kept clawing at me. For years, I had wanted to hear them. Now that I had, they felt hollow. Grace noticed my silence the next evening. You're quieter than usual, she said softly, setting down her cup. I'm just conflicted, I admitted. Conflicted about Emily? Yes. She leaned forward. Tell me exactly what's going on in your head. She looked broken, Grace. She begged me to forgive her. For a moment, I saw the girl I once loved, not the one who betrayed me. And that shakes you? More than I want to admit. Grace didn't flinch. You're not the same man she left behind. I sighed. But part of me still remembers. That feeling, being wanted by her. Or maybe, Grace said, you just remember the comfort of the past. That's not the same as love. I rubbed my temples. Then why does it still hurt? Because betrayal leaves scars, she answered, gently. But scars aren't invitations to reopen wounds. They're proof of survival. Her words hit deep. So you think I should shut her out completely? I think you already know the answer, but you're afraid to say it aloud. I exhaled, slowly. She doesn't love me. She loves the safety I represent now that Ryan is gone. Grace nodded. Exactly. That's not love. That's desperation. Don't mistake one for the other. Later at work, Olivia noticed my distraction. You've been pacing since morning, she said, handing me a file. Sorry, my mind's somewhere else. Emily? She guessed instantly. I blinked. How did you? You forget, I've watched you rebuild yourself these past months. When you suddenly look like a storm cloud, I can guess why. I chuckled weakly. She wants me back. Olivia tilted her head. And what do you want? That's the question I can't answer. She crossed her arms. No, that's the question you don't want to answer. There's a difference. Her words stung. So you think I'm weak for even considering it? I think you're human, she said. But I also think you deserve someone who sees your worth before you become unshakable, not after. Silence lingered between us until Olivia added, Don't let her drag you into her chaos. You fought too hard for your peace. That night, I stood in front of the mirror, studying the man I had become. The gym, the discipline, the long hours of rebuilding myself, all of it had forged someone Emily no longer recognized. But the truth was, I barely recognized her either. When Emily showed up again 2 days later, I was ready. Her makeup was smudged, her eyes swollen. She whispered, Can we talk? I opened the door wider but kept my tone calm. Come in. She sat on the couch, fidgeting. I know I don't deserve this chance, but please listen. I'm listening, I said evenly. Her voice cracked. Ryan left me. Everyone turned against me, and I realized I lost the only person who truly loved me. I took a deep breath. Emily, do you know why this feels empty to me? Her eyes darted up. Empty? How can it be empty when I'm pouring my heart out? Because you didn't. Come back for love, I said firmly. You came back because you're broken. She shook her head desperately. No, I came back because I finally see your worth. Now? I asked. After you chose someone else, after you crushed me, after you watched me fall apart. Her tears spilled. I was stupid. I was blind. But people change, don't they? You changed, can I? I closed my eyes briefly, then met her gaze. You lost me the day you betrayed me. There's no going back. The words left my mouth calmly, not with anger, not with bitterness, just truth. Emily's lips trembled. So that's it? After everything we had? Yes, I said quietly. Because I finally understand that what we had wasn't enough to survive what you did. Her sobs filled the room, but I didn't move closer. My hands remained steady on my knees, my heart strangely calm. She stood shakily. I'll regret this forever. Maybe you will, I replied. But that doesn't mean I should carry your regret for you. Emily looked at me one last time, then walked out. The door clicked shut behind her. I sat there, the silence almost deafening. A wave of sadness washed over me, but beneath it, a stronger current carried something new. Peace. Graces. Words echoed in my mind. Scars aren't invitations. They're proof of survival. Olivia's voice followed. Don't let her drag you into her chaos. For the first time in years, I felt unshaken. My past had come knocking, but I had chosen differently. I had chosen myself. And in that choice, I knew I was finally free. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the city lights outside my apartment window. For a moment, silence wrapped around me. Then Grace broke it. "You've changed," she said softly. I looked at her and smiled faintly. Changed, or just found myself again? Both, she replied. The man I first met was still bleeding from old wounds. The man sitting here now, he's healed, maybe even stronger because of them. I chuckled. Healed? Some scars don't vanish. They remind me every day of what I lost, but also of what I gained. Grace leaned closer. Tell me honestly, do you ever miss her? I didn't answer immediately. My fingers drummed against the table as I thought. I miss who I thought she was, not who she actually turned out to be. There's a difference. So, if she walked through that door right now, begging again? Grace asked. I'd listen, I admitted, but not because I want her back. I'd listen only to confirm how far I've come. Grace smiled knowingly. That's strength. The old you would have begged. The man you are now knows he's worth more. Her words sank deep. I thought back to the nights I cried on the floor, the mornings I woke up with nothing but bitterness in my chest. And yet, here I was, whole. The next day at work, Olivia caught me staring at my computer screen, lost in thought. You're unusually quiet, she teased. Just thinking, I replied. Dangerous habit, she joked. Then her tone softened. Still about Emily? I sighed. Not really. More about me, about who I've become. Olivia tilted her head. Well, whoever you've become, he's easier to work with. Focused, confident. Honestly, it's impressive. Impressive? I repeated, half smiling. Yes, most people break after betrayal. You didn't just survive, you thrived. Her words echoed in me. Thrived. That was the truth, wasn't it? That evening, Grace and I sat on a park bench. The air was cool, and kids played in the distance. You ever think life has a way of balancing itself? I asked. Explain, she said. When Emily left, I thought my world ended. But look at me now. I've got good people beside me, a clear path, and peace. It's almost like the pain had to happen to bring me here. Grace nodded. That's how growth works. Sometimes we need to burn to rise again. I laughed softly. Sounds poetic. You're proof of it, she replied. Later that night, I found myself writing in a journal. Words poured out naturally. I'm not the man who begged for love anymore. I'm the man who knows his worth. The next week, rumors about Emily reached me again. How she struggled, how Ryan had walked away, how she seemed lost. For the first time, hearing it didn't sting. Instead, I felt free. Grace noticed the calm in my eyes. You're really over her, aren't you? I smiled gently. Over her, yes. Over the lessons? Never. She tilted her head. What lessons? That love without respect is worthless. That trust, once broken, can't simply be glued back. And that no matter how much you give someone, if they don't value it, it means nothing. Grace's voice softened. So who are you now? I looked at her steadily. I'm the man who survived betrayal. The man who rebuilt himself. The man she thought she could replace, but never could. She nodded, as if sealing my words in stone. A few days later, I ran into an old friend who had seen everything unfold. He raised his eyebrows. You look different. Happier. Because I am, I said simply. And Emily? He asked carefully. Emily made her choices. I made mine. That chapter's closed. He smirked. Man, I remember when you were a wreck. Now look at you. It's almost like you needed that storm. Maybe I did, I agreed. Maybe losing her was the best thing that ever happened to me. That night, as I stood again by my window, the city glowing beneath me, I whispered to myself, I'm not broken anymore. Grace's earlier words echoed in my head, stronger because of the wounds. Olivia's praise of my focus. My friends' surprise at my transformation. All of it added up to one undeniable truth. Betrayal had once destroyed me, but it also built me. I picked up my phone and wrote a message draft I'd never send. You thought you could replace me, Emily, but now you see, I was the one you could never replace. I stared at it for a moment, then deleted it. I didn't need her to know. I didn't need her validation. The truth was enough for me. Closing my eyes, I breathed deeply. I had risen, not in spite of the betrayal, but because of it. I was no longer the man begging on his knees. I was the man who stood tall, unshakable, defined not by what I lost, but by what I became. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled. Not because the pain was gone, but because it had made me stronger.